All right. Another episode of Faces of First Atlanta. I'm sitting here with the infamous Charlie Gonzalez. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah. So Charlie is definitely an office person. I see you here every day working it, and I think that's probably going to be a success trait that pops up. But you're also commercial and all sorts of fun stuff. But I want to go way back.
Okay.
Tell me about Charlie. Who's Charlie?
So I was born in Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
My parents met there. I come from an immigrant family.
Okay.
My grandparents on my dad's side came here, worked on a large ranch that
In Texas, right?
In Texas, in McAllen, Texas.
I know where McAllen is.
We moved. Eventually, my parents met in Houston, and then we moved to Atlanta when I was in second grade. And so suburb of Atlanta called Peachtree City.
Okay, yeah, South.
South Atlanta. And I grew up there, golf cart town. We owned multiple golf carts. I have one younger brother, and then grew up in Peachtree City. Played soccer, actually, a lot of soccer. And that's.
So are you a United fan?
I am a huge Atlanta United
okay.
fan. Yeah.
All right, so let's back up. So, immigrant family settles in South Texas, right?
My parents,
and your parents did. And how did that influence you? How did that, to me, is there a work ethic that you have today that maybe you got instilled through that, or what kind of life perspective did you get from growing up that way?
Yeah, I would say that's a good point. My grandpa actually was, they did fences. So he did fences on the ranch. And then my dad actually grew up working with my grandpa.
Okay.
Since he was very young.
On the ranch.
On the ranch, yeah.
I've seen Yellowstone. Have you seen Yellowstone?
I have it.
Okay, you go watch Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Right,
I should check it out.
It looks like tough work,
No, it's very tough work. They broke in horses. So they were like legitimate cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
And so my dad grew up doing that, and working with my grandpa at a very young age, and then just kind of grew up, always working. And it's been kind of the same thing's been instilled in us, work hard, do the right thing, care about people. Yeah. So it's made a big, that's all I know.
I think it's interesting. We tend to get a lot of our values from our upbringing, right? And so it sounds like these are some pretty strong values you still carry today, like show up, work hard, take care of people.
Exactly.
In the short time I've gotten to know you, your heart's definitely around serving others and people like that. So I was curious where all that came from.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So they up and move you to Atlanta, Georgia, Peachtree City.
That's right. Yeah.
And so soccer. You were always a soccer guy.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up. I played on multiple teams, traveling teams. Played in school, high school, McIntosh.
Yeah.
I was there. We won state championship.
Okay.
My sophomore year. And then actually I was on a path to do play in the World Cup. So they had, at that time they had like what they call the Olympic Development Program. I don't know if it's still around, but I definitely played at a very high level. Played with some of the people that ended up playing in the World Cup several times.
So what did it take to be a highly competitive soccer player?
What's interesting is I think it just took passion. You just had to enjoy it. I also appreciated the camaraderie. Yeah, that was a big thing. I loved having teammates. Those teammates were also my best friends. And I enjoyed the game. I think it was very creative. It's a very creative way of doing. It's a creative sport. And it's I'm just. You're outside, so it's a good thing.
But I think what I heard you say is you had to have passion, right?
For sure.
So I'm just sitting here kind of reflecting on what you're saying as you're saying it, going, we always talk about you got to go work in your passion zone or find your passion, and it won't feel like you'll never work another day in your life or whatever the saying is. But in order to succeed at a high level, you got to work pretty hard.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you're not passionate about it, it's almost like they have to marry.
Yeah, exactly.
There has to be a passion and there has to be a work ethic and a hard work to compete at a high level.
Exactly.
Am I put?
That's exactly right. No,
okay.
no, no. And that's exactly right. Passion, competition, hard work, and I really, I enjoyed all that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed playing, so that was my passion. It was easy to go and do it every day, and I like to win. That was the big thing. Is, I didn't like to lose, but I realized even how to be a good competitor. So if you lose, it's, the team was better than you that day. So
So I want to push pause on your story for a minute.
Okay.
And take that correlation, and how does that relate to real estate today for you?
I think it's very related to what I'm doing today in commercial real estate. So I do commercial real estate solely. I don't sell houses. I've built a couple houses, but even I use partners to sell the houses. So I only do commercial real estate. And I feel like, I guess if you had to relate it to the sport, I would say I enjoy it. I very much enjoy it. It's all I've ever done. So that's
so you got the passion for it, right?
And I started out and I realized I enjoyed it. So I stuck with it. I was actually doing commercial appraisals. But I learned the business. That's really what I say. When I was doing that kind of work, I learned about commercial real estate. That was my education in commercial real estate. I have a finance background from graduated from Georgia State. With a finance degree, and kind of leveraged that to do commercial real estate, which is also in a lot of ways real estate finance. And then kind of
much more so than residential, right?
Oh, well, I mean, we're basically, and that's what drew me to it, is because I have I'm just a numbers guy. So I knew that at an early age, and then was going to go do something maybe with finance, whether that's Wall Street or, something, we learned that was your education. And what I eventually learned was actually real estate can be very much valued in the same way a company is on the stock market. So you're looking, and the reason that's so is because you're looking at cash flow. And so I learned that, hey, these things are very similar. I like it. I really like it. So that's definitely part of how I'm using what I learned playing sports. I like to win. So that's, I like to be good at what I'm doing. And then, I go to show up to work every day. And that's the only way to do it.
Work ethic.
Yeah. So.
All right. So you're playing soccer. Was there ever a dream to be David Beckham or something? You had the abs, I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's some tattoos under here.
No. No. I mean, it was cool. I definitely saw those guys, and I thought a lot about them, and try to emulate what they did. But at the time, actually, the only way to really make it in soccer was to go and play in Europe.
Yeah.
And I was
why is that? And I know this is off. Well, why is soccer not popular in the States like it is everywhere else?
Well, I think it's just because, my dad, he grew up in South Texas. You would think Hispanic origin, Hispanic nationality, coming from an Hispanic family, you'd think, oh, soccer. But actually, it's where he lived. He lived in Texas, so he played football.
Yeah.
And all his 7 brothers.
I grew up in Texas. I know.
All his 7 brothers played football. So,
but I think it's really cool that the city of Atlanta has embraced soccer.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing. When I came here to Atlanta, my dad, his only background was football. So I didn't end up, actually, I played like 1 or 2 seasons of football. But since I was 4, I was playing soccer. And it was from my grandpa. My dad had seen soccer, but he didn't play it. And so when he came here, he was like, let's see if he's interested. And I just stuck with it. And that's all I ever played.
Nice.
So,
so at what point in time was the dream kind of dwindling and then you go into...
I ended up, I loved playing it. I knew it could provide for some sort of a future, and mainly through college. So I got a scholarship. I was recruited to play Division I soccer at a small school called Gardner-Webb University.
Yeah.
And it's in Boiling Springs, right outside Charlotte. in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And about 45 minutes just across the border of North Carolina, South Carolina. So I played there a year and a half. And then I just, honestly, is like, I realized this is a job. This is not,
okay.
It's not like it used to.
It wasn't fun anymore?
It wasn't fun. It really wasn't. And I didn't see myself really pursuing it because I knew that there wasn't for me, somebody didn't scout me, at Gardner-Webb. I'm not even on the best team in the country to go play in Europe. It's just such a high level that.
So you shifted to finance.
Basically. Yeah. I just was like, I'm going to focus on my education.
All right. So you go get your education, you got this finance degree right out of the gate. What was the dream?
Yeah, it was interesting. Actually, before I got out of school, I learned, I interned with a company called CB Richard Ellis.
Yeah.
So I was a junior at the time. And CB Richard Ellis they actually represent commercial real estate services on S&P 500. So they're one of the 500 largest companies. So that, they basically do every kind of real estate service, brokerage, development partner, investment.
Sure.
So just a real estate services company. And so I interned there my junior year. And that's where I realized.
And this is in Charlotte?
This is actually here in Atlanta. So
I
came back. I came back. I realized actually I had a life event and came back to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Stopped playing soccer, just focused on my school at Georgia State. Went there, got my finance degree, great education, nothing but good things to say about Georgia State.
Yeah.
Great real estate community. If anybody has children or anything, it's like, that's a great school. It helped me a lot. A lot of people actually were connected. So the way I got my job, my first job at CB Richard Ellis was through two appraisers who were looking for a junior guy, just 20 hours a week. I found it through Craigslist because I wanted to do something a little different than what I was doing part-time. But they were actually looking for people through the real estate career services at Georgia State. I didn't know that because I wasn't in the real estate program at that time. But they actually were MBA students or MBA candidates from Georgia State. So, and actually a lot of people get their MBA in real estate from Georgia State. At the time, that was definitely a bigger thing. So a lot of executives, it's a good executive program because it's in town. It's one of the few schools that at the time had that. Now I think Georgia Tech probably.
So were you the first from your family to graduate college?
I actually was.
Congratulations. That's always a cool story.
Yeah, it is.
And now you're in the business world, like immigrant beginning to working on ranches and doing whatever hard work to soccer to now you're a business guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I bet your parents were very proud of you, obviously.
They were nothing but supportive the whole way.
Yeah.
And it's always been that way. My grandpa was very supportive of my dad, and then my dad is obviously very supportive of me. And eventually I'll be very supportive of my.
All right. Well, we'll wait for it, right? So you go get this. Actually, you and I were having a conversation before this interview talking about the commercial world and how the commercial part of the real estate industry, it takes on junior agents. I call them bird doggers. The big commercial agents will take on a junior agent. They go out and knock doors and shake trees and bring the deals to the table for the experienced guy or girl to help them close the transaction. And that's how they learn the business, right?
Right, exactly.
And that's exactly kind of what you did, right? You were the junior guy going out learning the business.
Well, and that's interesting. So I started as an appraiser.
Okay.
So I was doing the grunt work.
Yeah.
I was a junior guy for sure. So I was basically typing up the report, researching about zoning, researching about taxes for the property, researching the comparable sales, pulling some comparable rents, basically writing the report. And as an appraiser, it's a little different than when you're appraising houses. As a commercial appraiser, you're doing the same steps, but you're doing a couple more. So instead of just using like the sales comparison approach, you're really, a lot of times a lot of the focus could even be probably most likely put on the income approach.
Yeah.
So you're looking at it from not just, okay, well, this sold for this, so mine sells for this. We're looking at it from, hey, the cash flow is this.
Yeah.
Is that above or below market? What would somebody who's investing in commercial real estate, what would they pay for that cash flow?
Yeah.
And so we're capitalizing that income to come up with the sale price.
Which I think is, we've talked forever about how commercial is a whole different animal,
it's
right?
Different. It's very different.
And you're taking most of us back to our real estate school days and how properties are valued and I think in on a residential side, obviously the sales comparison is 99.99% of the way.
Yeah, because they're very similar.
Yeah.
That house is similar to this house.
Sure.
So, yeah.
And as a business owner or a commercial appraiser or somebody helping somebody in the commercial world, whether you're doing some kind of business brokerage or property sale or whatever, the income approach comes up a whole lot more, right?
Yeah. So basically anything that's income producing. So you have shopping centers, you have office buildings, you have industrial facilities, hotels, senior living, self-storage, apartments. They all have cash flow coming from either tenants or typically tenants, and that can be short-term and long-term. You know, you have your apartments; those are usually less than a year, so that's technically or a year or less. It's technically a short-term lease. You have anything basically was classified anything less than a year.
So, for instance, this building we're sitting in here in First Atlanta, I think a lot of people think if somebody called them and said, "Hey, I want to sell my building," they're going to go down the street and try to find other buildings to try to compare it to. But the reality is it's probably a better value to look inside the building at what leases are attached to the building, what income it's attached to, and creating a value around that cash flow or that income flow versus trying to go out and compare it to all these other buildings, right?
Yeah, well, it's both.
Yeah.
It's both. And I will say, you still want to look at the other buildings because at the end of the day, that investor, the market paid a price
for that income
cash flow.
Yeah.
So I'm going to look at this one based
or
on something
potential
similar.
income
Or potential income. And because it's a market.
It's a speculative.
Yeah, people are putting their money in so many different things. And so when I say capitalize, it's like you're taking that cash flow. What is somebody going to pay for that cash flow based on, I could go buy a bond. I could go buy a stock. I could go buy. So this is commercial real estate is looked at in the same way. So when you have a finance degree or you have a financial understanding of the way things work, it's always about how much is that cash flow worth to me?
Yeah.
You know, if I'm an owner user.
And on terms too.
Yeah. What can I get it financed for? And that factors into what my return is on my investment. So
all that being said, I've always admired the commercial brokers because the business acumen or that knowledge that it takes to really create a fiduciary to a client in those transactions is it's a specialty, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And well, anyway, I love the fact that you went to school for it.
Exactly.
You paid your dues as the young guy, learning how to understand the numbers in commercial, and now all that knowledge is why you're successful, right?
Exactly.
All right, so here we sit. You've been in the industry since when?
2006.
2006. So you got into the industry when it was hot.
Yes, exactly.
Commercial doesn't always follow the same recessionary dates, if you will, on a timeline that residential does, right? So we actually saw commercial start to go down before the residential market started to go down, right?
Right, exactly.
How was that?
It was tough. I mean, so if you're talking about the coronavirus, kind of what
Well, actually, I was going back to like 2008, 2009.
Okay. So back then, the residential market crashed first.
That's right. I'm sorry.
It crashed first in that regard. And then commercial kind of followed that. And it really was, again, it was a matter of the credit markets. So the credit markets, you could be Coca-Cola.
Couldn't get financing.
Yeah, you couldn't get financing. You could be Coca-Cola. You couldn't get financing for short-term paper. That's just to fund your deals for 90 days, fund your operations. much less go to the market and get a long-term real estate loan that had tons of risk because you don't know where things are going to go. Kind of like, and so compare that to COVID, you know, today, actually, you know, COVID affected commercial in a real big way as well, because again, the credit market's locked up. So if, in my case, I had a couple deals that were, you know, had great financing to go in and then had to go and find alternative, really expensive debt. And so, and it's all because of, and it was specific property type. It was very property type related. I mean, everything kind of got hurt, put on hold. But I mean, the ones that I'm speaking of specifically were retail. So, you know, as you know, I mean, if you definitely, that's one of the first things that you're not going to do is go to the, in my case, it wasn't a grocery store, but it was like, you're not going to go to City Trends, or you're not going to go to definitely restaurants. You're not going to go out to eat. So, you know, that risk in that property type was priced out of the market. It was like, I mean, I literally I was talking to a lender and they're like, you know, I'm supposed to close in like 30 days. And they were like, call me back in 90. We're not doing any retail.
Yeah, we shut
down. We're done. We're done.
Well, so I think we're experiencing some disruption right now in at the same regards, right? I think the fear originally was that the housing market was going to get disrupted by this pandemic. And I'm sure it's going to be at some level. But commercial, there's a real fear around it.
Right? There was definitely. I mean, I think it's, you know, as things have kind of progressed and people are figuring out, you know, therapies, you know, what's interesting, and I haven't told you, is my wife is actually, she works at Emory. And so she's working on the vaccine trials. And so things are very promising. I mean, I'm not going to say that I know anything other than the public. I don't. She doesn't even know.
Are you sure?
Yeah. No,
come on.
She doesn't even know. No, she doesn't even know. So, I mean, but she's dispensing the drugs. And so there's a lot of work. I mean, she didn't have off. She worked through the whole,
so she's in the medical world.
She's in, I mean, she's front line. And so, you know, her effort and her, you know, is helping us come up with, you know, and everybody, I mean, there's a lot of people out there doing a lot of good things. And that's kind of working out and thinking to the economy to, you know, with therapies, you know, the things that are, and then eventually a vaccine. So
what do you think, and I'm putting you on the spot here, what do you think about these big corporations that had these big tenant leases and all their employees went and worked from home?
It's a big
and then they're looking at it going, do we need all that lease space? Do we need all that?
Well, I have a couple of things to say about that. So I will tell you, first thing, one of the biggest leases done during that COVID period was actually a lease over at Atlantic Station. It was one of the top 3 in the country. Microsoft. I think a lot of people heard about that. That was 500,000 square feet. They took two buildings in the new Hines development over there at Atlantic Station. So there's 2 offices, but there's a lot of stuff going on there. Facebook is pretty active. All these tech companies who, you know, the bigger ones, of course.
There's a shift.
There's a shift, but I would say though that they still see the value of people being together, of ideas and camaraderie. I've seen a couple surveys come out that, you know, if people do want to go back, it's to be with their cohort. You know, and so.
Well, I think I started this video saying, I see you here every day. Right? Why do you come here every day?
I mean,
what's the value in coming here every day?
I think the value is being with my partner, being with my team member. You know, we're collaborating all the time on the deals that we're working on, the deals that we see, or things people we're talking to. You know, I love
the environment.
And I love bumping into the agents. I mean, I may not be residential, but I get a lot, even out of the trainings, out of the talking to the people in our market center who are very active, seeing what they're seeing. Because like you said, it may not be directly correlated, but if the residential market's hurting, that's, again, it might be credit, it might be demand that affects retail, or people aren't moving. You know, are people if they're buying bigger houses and office space is going to be affected. So all these trends,
they're business conversations too, right?
Exactly.
Like if you just think of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, right? You got the employee and then the self-employed quadrant, is a big percentage of the real estate agents. They're coming in and they're working on their sales careers.
Yeah.
But at some point in time, those top producers start to look at their career as a business.
Right.
And whether you're residential or commercial or a gadget company, business has business principles to it. So we can learn from other business people, right?
Absolutely.
And once you get to the business level, it's a different conversation than the sales career level.
Right, exactly.
And that's where the commonality finds itself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I value every single agent in this office.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if they don't think like a business owner today, they will eventually. Even if even if we see ourselves as sales agents, I mean, I was there. I'm just starting to realize that I'm a business owner.
I'll challenge that a little bit, because I've learned over the years, there's a lot of people that have built great sales careers.
Yeah.
And that's what they want out of it.
Yeah.
So I personally, I like the thinking and the business aspects of it, but I actually realize not everybody wants to think that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Although we challenge them to, that's the natural growth curve.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but obviously you're a business guy,
and I'm
right?
learning, and that's the thing. I'm learning every day, and as I grow as an agent. That's the other thing. Is I started here from I had a business. I had a commercial appraisal business. I still do, but I transitioned over to brokerage. But that, I tell many people, I started doing it 95% appraisal, 5% brokerage as a business owner. And now I probably do 95% brokerage, 5% appraisal.
Yeah.
And now I really see myself that my business is my brokerage business.
Sure.
So I'm starting, I'm following the MREA book.
Yeah.
It's like,
those are business principles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, you know what? And a lot of people come here because of that book.
I agree.
I mean, some of the best agents I know have moved here because of that book. And so you're right. I mean, I definitely connect on the business level, especially with my clients. I mean, when I'm talking to my clients, it's a business decision. When they're choosing space.
It's interesting. In commercial, it's a business decision.
It's a business decision.
In residential, I would not say it's always a business decision.
Which is okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, and it's different. It's a different attitude.
So tell me your best day and your worst day in real estate.
I would say my best day is, in general or specific?
No. I want to know give me some good stuff.
Okay. You know what? Probably the best day in commercial real estate, I sold my first big deal, which was an apartment complex.
Wow.
In South Atlanta. And it was a referral from an agent in this office. And it was a seller who was selling it himself. And we tracked him down. We were able to do the deal, and it was the biggest commission I've seen since I've been here. I mean, no, it isn't. Honestly, it is. I just had a bigger one, but
it was a nice.
It was really big. It was the biggest paycheck I'd ever seen in one pop. So.
Well, I think it was obviously it's the first time you did a big deal.
Yeah.
And it opened your eyes up to, hey, there's a viability to this business.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
All right, come on, give me some dirt. What was the worst day?
Let's see. What was the worst day? Oh man. I'd have to think about that a little bit. I mean, like you said, it's like, and I don't mean to be cliche, but if you like what you do, it's hard to complain. It's not a bad day. It's really hard. It's really hard to complain. It's really hard to complain.
All right, so I'm going to ask you the question I ask everybody. Like, if you were going to write your book or give a TED talk, what would yours be about?
Yeah, I would say if I were going to write a book or give a TED talk, it'd be about how helping others gets you to where you want to be. And I mean that sincerely. It's not cliche. It's cliche, but it's not, because I've learned throughout my years, and my background, everything that I know is if I help enough people, it will come back, whether that's through referrals, whether that's through, just helping them in general helps me, or, giving back to the community, whether that's through questions, answering questions, whatever that is. I've realized that's all going to doing the right thing is another thing. If I'm helping you and I'm doing the right thing, by helping you, hopefully I'll be able, and I've seen it happen so many times. Some of my bigger listings right now are because I've helped somebody in this office, or I've helped, we're talking about $6 million in listings from just sticking with somebody who may not have done the right thing all the time, but by me, or at least what I thought, but I was willing to take the bigger road and be like, give them some grace or help them, or even if I may have been wrong. So I don't want to necessarily. So by doing the thing that, taking the higher road, helping people, and doing the right thing, I think, will always come back. And 100%.
I love it. So servant heart, right?
Yeah, servant heart and everything.
All right. So normally I would close on that, but I got one more thing for you.
Good.
So since you were a soccer guy.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm sitting here thinking about bend it like Beckham.
Okay.
Is it close it like Charlie? What's our catchphrase we need to end on? It's
I would that's a good one. I would say, a smile goes a long way. Or
it doesn't have the same ring.
I know that. Yeah, close it like Charlie.
We're gonna close it like Charlie.
Okay.
Thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thank you.
Certainly appreciate it, and all you do for First Atlanta is very appreciative. Many people have told me.
Thanks.
So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for listening.